What is up, y'all? It's your boy Aniki coming at you with another One Piece review for chapter 1031. Trying to keep this up, trying to give you guys more content. Picking up where we left off with the results of Punk Clash. We see that, you got people being like, oh man, she was crushed by the steel beams. Big Mom couldn't even have survived that. Obviously, this is fodder talking, and it's just to let us know that this was supposed to be a high-scale attack. They're both, Law and Kid are out of breath, and it's like, how do you like that, you monstrous old hag? And then Law responds, so awakening for the magnet fruit allows you to assign magnetic qualities to something. How long does the power hold? And he's like, and Kid is like, why should I tell you all my secrets? Obviously saying, at the end of the day, we might be working together in this fight, but Kid is thinking about the long term. He's like, I can't reveal every ace in the hole up my sleeve. Can't reveal every card I have to play, because at the end of the day, I might have to go against this man in the future. Just being real with himself, understanding that these alliances are temporary, especially after that Apu betrayal. He's willing to work with Law. They worked together back in Sabaody, but that doesn't mean that they're friends. And this is just kind of there to emphasize that. And everybody's, freaking out because Big Mom starts getting out of the rubble, and she says life or Oshiruko. Now, the fact that it's like not life or leave or life or anything else, but life or give me food, I've seen some people kind of hype it up online. It's looking like we could potentially head in that direction where she might end up with some food cravings. If that's the case, she's going to be less stable. She could become more unhinged. We'll see how that goes. Because she uses that soul focus and immediately robs a bunch of the fodder around her and actually turns some of the steel beams into homies. Quite a few of them, actually, which I find kind of interesting because I'm wondering if that's supposed to make sure that those ones don't come back towards her, or what exactly the intent of making a bunch of homies out of the steel beams truly was, especially because I don't think that those homies are the type that will truly stand up to anything like Law or Kid is actually out here doing right now. But we'll see. And then she says, I'll use an entire year of my own lifespan. Anything less won't serve to strengthen me. And now, from whether it's the estimated lifespan or her actual lifespan itself, her converting some of that life into raw power, people are talking about her size increasing, and she says, I haven't felt this much pain in decades. I think that's very impressive, you two, indicating that this is the most damage Big Mom has taken since we've been introduced to her character. This is more than the damage she took from scraping her knees over the Mother Caramel painting or photo. This is more damage than she took during Whole Cake. This is more damage than she took fighting Kaido while she was at Onigashima. They did more damage to Big Mom than Kaido did in their 1v1 for that 3 days, because that fight was not that long ago. It would have been within the last month or two. Actually, within the last month. So if she's saying that this is the most damage she's taken in decades that she can recall, that means that even Kaido didn't do this much damage to Big Mom. I think people aren't understanding that implication. Law and Kid are putting in work. And I know a lot of people are like, oh no, they can't defeat Big Mom. Luffy has to beat all the Emperor. Shut up. It's not like Oda has made the mistake before of making it the entire Luffy show, and it gave one of the most unsatisfying. It gave like that fight a little bit of a fizzle with Dofi and Law. Furthermore, the entire goal of taking out Kaido was orchestrated by Law. Currently, Luffy and Law have exchanged dance partners. That's all this is. Kaido was Law's goal, Big Mom was originally Luffy's, and now to really pay off their alliance, they're both taking on each other's target. That's how this is going down. And Big Mom does give Law and Kid their props, as well as Luffy, and acknowledges that the three of them are truly fighting for that title of Emperor. They're truly trying to get her off that throne. They're putting in that work. And Law is like, man, I really gotta fight people like her just to learn about the real history. And Kid's like, nah, bro, we gotta stop holding back. We gotta make sure we do whatever it takes to win. And everybody else is still kind of freaking out because they're like, man, the live floor is hell. There's all this craziness going on. You have the Kozuki samurai fighting off, waiters and pleasure still. I think it's fascinating that anyone is still actually on the side of Kaido at this point, just because of what Queen did on the live floor. You would think most of the people would clear out, like, all right, cool. This isn't the place for me, and just with the scale of the attacks and stuff that's been going on, you would think they want to back out, but you still got people trying to fight. And then obviously you have Yamato going through, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna have to go through the cave chamber, because there's nothing but soldiers. And Apu and Diaz Drake are actually fighting. He's not interested in an alliance. Apu, being the traitor that he is, Diaz Drake has no interest. And also he states that he's figured out the attacks, and now he emphasizes that my obligation to Straw Hat demands that I put an end to you right here, which means that he genuinely intends to honor that alliance shift and be on Luffy's side through the rest of this arc. I'm going to assume that this is partially a payoff from Kobe telling him that Luffy is somebody that he can believe in and that Luffy's a good guy. He breaks down Apu's powers further, that he has to be not only aiming at you, like not only do you have to hear him, but he also aims via sight. So that fully explains now like the way he targets people and why it's always like, oh, there that person is. When he was doing that, and he would be like, oh, scratch, boom, and all that other stuff, and he would make it a point to be targeting people. So that's good on that front too. Drake and Apu, Yamato immediately sees them. Like, oh, Toby Roppo, info dealer, what do I have to deal with them? Both of them make it a point to appeal to Yamato in some way. Apu trying to recruit her, with Fuga being the number deciding that he wants to attack Yamato. Don't even try to stop me. Yamato is yelling at like Diaz Drake, and he's like, look, I'm not with Kaido, but she ends up like dropping Diaz Drake to the ground and just keeping going. Because Onigashima and the Flower Capital are in danger. So you got the number hunting and pursuing Yamato. You got everyone, trying to escape. Apu trying to figure out what he's going to do. I'm hoping that, if Apu is smart, he and these last two numbers are just going to get out of here. But Diaz Drake straight up says, you're not getting out of here. He's planning to take him out. We see that CP0 has made their move, is taking down several minks, and that Brooke is the one trying to get out of there, carrying Robin, trying to get her to safety. And we finally get a hard establishment that yes, CP0, having the mask, you're supposed to be the elite of the elite, the most dangerous. So a lot of the people who were like, oh, this guy's probably not even as good as pre-time skip Rob Lucci. I've seen some people say some wild stuff. We now know that, yeah, like if you got a mask on, you're supposed to be above whatever CP9 was on back then. So we now know that these are, without question, supposed to be some of the most elite assassins. I feel like that should have been assumed when they were introduced as ages and they were spending time with the world government. But, hey, it is what it is. Some people need that little extra push. We get this whole scene with Sanji and him apparently having beaten up a girl, but the way that I look at it is like, he ran into her, they likely just like literally ran into each other, and that caused her to like fall down and she got hurt, especially because he says I didn't do anything. And then like they're like, aren't you with the army, didn't you do this? And he's like, I didn't. But like it also might be that he didn't do anything wrong at all, and it might have been Queen who like smacked her, and then like just because of while they were running through the routes and stuff, they just ended up thinking it was Sanji instead. I don't know. There's likely to be a real explanation behind this that goes beyond just, oh, Sanji accidentally trucked a girl, or some people's speculation of maybe he unlocked Conqueror's Haki and that's accidentally why she got hurt, something like that, especially because he was on the volume for a One Piece volume that was entitled Conquerors, and it would be strange if he was a 1 out of 5 because there was 4 other people who had Conqueror's Haki on that volume cover. So maybe Oda's alluding to that, but it could just as easily just be he trucked her and accidentally did it with his exoskeleton and it caused her a bunch of damage. But we do get that flashback to when he's thinking about how they beat a woman unconscious and comparing himself to his brothers. We see that his eyebrow has changed from being curled inward to being curled outward, just like his brothers, which makes the Zoro line where he was like, your eyebrow makes sense, even though Oda hadn't drawn it differently yet. I think that was him kind of like setting up for it. Or maybe the eyebrow was shifting while they were talking, whatever the case may be. So we finally get the Queen confrontation where Queen was like, where have you been? I'm trying to kill you. Pleasure hall's closed. It is what it is. Just standard trash talk, telling him that he needs to not be worried about that. And he has Sanji having zero memory of hurting that girl. That has to come into play at some point, and we have to get an explanation for it, but I don't know when. But Sanji's truly trying to figure out if this is the right course for him and Luffy, and specifically for Luffy. Sanji has spent a lot of the series dedicated to not hitting women, and when it came to what the incident with Black Maria, where he ended up having to call for Nico Robin because he couldn't hit her as a woman. When you go back to Eni's lobby, when he couldn't fight Khalifa because she's a woman, and that caused him to not be able to get the key. There's a consistent see throughout the series that every now and then Sanji not being able to hit women genuinely causes a conflict or strife or a delay or hinders the Straw Hats in some way. And so he's forced to really sit here and think about whether or not the person he is today, if that is actually the person he should be, or if he needs to put on that Germa suit, become what his dad always wanted him to be, a heartless soldier, so that he can make sure that he is the most effective instrument for the Pirate King possible. And what I like about this is that I've looked at the situation of Zoro with Enma and Hame no Akibiri and the relation to the Shimotsuki clan, and how Wado and Ame no Habikiri are part of the same set, and how even if Enma becomes a Black Blade, I think there's a good chance that Enma does not leave Wano with Zoro. Instead, I think it gets another symbolic elevation and is kept alongside Shusui, or in that area, as, you know, a metaphor of the guardianship and the protected of Wano. Especially with Ame no Habikiri being a part of the set that Wado is made from, it seems more likely that if we're going to have a parallel between these, like Zoro and Sanji, and their bond is being emphasized in this chapter, then I've looked at this arc as the arc where Zoro and Sanji both accept their lineage. And so from that perspective, I could see, you know, Sandai Kitetsu and Enma leaving, and Ame no Habikiri and Nidai Kitetsu finally landing in Zoro's hands to make up for the fact that he's going to be losing Enma, which is a sword that's going to emphasize, you know, creates larger swings, but he's ultimately going to have better haki training after having used it, and so he's going to have been more in tune with his haki because of this. And Sanji, who, you know, due to his father's will and tampering, will have inherited all these genetic modifications. And we even see that during when he crunches the stuff, after he makes the call to Zoro, and they make the agreement that when the fight's over, if Sanji isn't himself, if he's lost his mind, that Zoro should kill him. He still has access to the invisibility powers that were granted by the stealth black suit. So he's got the exoskeleton, he's got the invisibility, he just doesn't have the accelerating shoes anymore and the ability to just hover, or the fancy cape, but he's got enhanced durability, he has enhanced healing. He's going to have higher firepower. He's got to accept the fact that, and he does accept that, you know, the Germa DNA within me has already awakened, and there's not really anything I can do about that. And so he uses the held memories, fueled by the memories of dealing with the Vinsmokes on Whole Cake Island, giving that some payoff, but then also just dealing with the fact that he's going to have to relive and deal with this trauma for the rest of his life, and he's going to have to adapt to this new body that isn't what he wanted, that makes him wonder if his mom died in vain, which I don't think so, because I think there was a strong emphasis on his emotions and wanting him to be a real human. So I don't think that he becomes less of a human because he has superpowers. And while I know some people would be like, well, like, you know, that's still part of the modifications and part of like the human. There's enough humans with devil fruits and all kinds of other strange abilities, like Ideo, I believe was his name, with the explosive boxing punches, that quite frankly, him being modified to have superpowers isn't that quick to disqualify him as a human in my book. What I think does matter here, though, is just we're seeing his progression to the Hell's Memories. Whether or not Queen lives through this doesn't matter. What I do think matters is that they've made it a point to be alone and in isolation. And we know that some of them are at like different junctures of the castle, whether they're by like different horns. And I'm pretty sure, let me look through here. I want to look through the chapter before I say this. We know that Zoro was, up top, right near the what was it, the left brain of the skull. So, Zoro's on the right side. I think that Sanji's on the left. So, which right and left hand, wings of the Pirate King, makes sense. So they're getting to have these 1v1 battles. So even though Hell Memories is a powerful attack, I think we're gonna get one more big move from Sanji after this, because we need him to have a little bit of that one-on-one clash with him and Queen. And I don't think we just wrap it up with like a semi-half spread. We'd get a conclusive ending to the fight. And so one last finale to drive home the end of that fight, and then we'll transition over to Zoro versus King. And then I think that we could either skip to Luffy versus Kaido, or cut away to something else, leading to, an intermission between the acts, so we can get a little idea of what's going on, and then cut to Act 4, and then we'll finally do what needs to be done. But let me know what you guys think about this One Piece chapter. Just kind of looking at it this week, I did enjoy it. I like knowing that everybody's at different junctures and all the places they're trying to get to and what they're fighting for or where they're fighting. And Oda trying to do a good job of making sure we know where they are. More than likely, the fight with Sanji is going to break off the rest of the left horn on Onigashima. And I wouldn't be surprised if Zoro's final attack on King broke off the right horn to symbolize that like both sides of the horn are gone. More progress has been made. So we're gonna lose the left and right horns of the Oni, and then the human skull is all that'll be remaining, and then that'll allow Luffy to defeat, or that'll signal that like Luffy's about to defeat Kaido, and then we get that part taken care of, and boom. That's how and then Luffy crashes in through the top of the live floor, likely punching Kaido all the way down through it, and then that's when the clouds start falling apart, and then we have to figure out how we're going to save the people of Wano from there. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've enjoyed this One Piece video and you want to keep getting One Piece reviews. Some of you were there earlier for the Church of MHA. You already know that's going to be around next Sunday too, since there's no chapter for that. One Piece is on break. Maybe I'll try to do another One Piece video about a different topic to help keep the One Piece content going, while also acknowledging and dealing with the fact that it'll be on break. But let me know what you guys think. Just wanted to give my piece. I'm Aniki, and I'm out.